time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnet Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here.
With Barnet Bain. Good moment. It sounds like we're prepared.
It sounds like we're prepared.
Yeah.
What has either of us said that would indicate that we're prepared today? Just
Good,
the way
good.
we said
yes,
hello?
good. Just there was confidence.
You're wearing your pin. That's just making you confident.
I get a
That's
lot.
like gives you superpowers.
It does give me superpowers.
Should we review how the pin came into your
Yeah, everybody in your car, lean in towards your radio dial and pick up a little bit of vibe of my superpower pin. I have this pin that somebody gave me, and it gets so much attention.
It's fantastic.
It's, if I was young and single, I wouldn't have needed the dog.
That's true.
Wow.
Wow, we could market that.
We could.
Think about this. We could,
It has special powers.
Yeah.
It has special powers.
Every 20-something guy is going to be rushing to get the pin.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about doing this show is that it takes me out of my to-do list.
Yes.
I get like a pass. I get like a full half-day pass. I know.
the mornings that we tape, you just take the
I
whole
get
morning
to
off?
say to myself, no, I was very busy and being productive.
Right.
And accomplishing a very great deal.
Yeah.
And it feels good. And it lets me put in the clutch a little bit. And then I go home, I let the clutch out, and I look at my to-do list again.
The dread. Yeah, how we organize what we do and even how we do it is fascinating, isn't it? This whole lining up of tasks, and oftentimes my experience is I lose track of the context. In other words, I lose track of the why that is behind the what I am doing. Yeah. And I have all these what I'm doings that
the who care and the why care
that at some point become oppressive because the context is gone. There's not a good reason to be doing it other than it's on my list, and how it got there. I'm resentful of anyone and everyone who puts things on my list, namely my wife.
She put things on your list?
Oh, my gosh. Honey-do list.
I love your wife. She puts nothing on my list.
You love my wife because she puts nothing on your list.
There's so many reasons.
That is a good reason to love her.
It is.
She was more lovable before she started putting things on my list. No, I'm not saying that. That's not true. But life can be reduced to tasks, and a bunch of tasks that lots of us don't like doing.
Well, here's a task right here.
Very
briefly, here's a task. I'm checking on my iPhone. I'm looking at my emails, and there are...
Oh, no. Don't tell me. How many unread?
1,200 change unread emails.
Is that like just in the last week?
No. I've been accumulating them in the way that I used to accumulate parking tickets as a student. As a student, I papered the wall with them. But
oh, my God. There was this cafe in San Francisco called the Curbside Cafe.
Yeah.
And the bathroom was wallpapered with tickets. It's always a joke. Like people say, "Oh, okay, I could wallpaper my bathroom."
I did it
tickets.
actually.
So did this guy.
When I was a student, I was living in England for a few years, and
they give parking tickets there.
Yeah, they were so compulsive, and they had a real eye for design. So the Metropolitan Police Force would give these beautiful, beautiful tickets. Almost calligraphy.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
They would put them in a little plastic bag because it was raining all the time.
Right, of course.
So they would slip them in a little plastic bag, and my car lived under a forest of, and I collected them and collected them, and eventually I had to sell the car and leave the country.
Right, after you got done putting off and procrastinating paying your tickets. All right, who are we talking to today?
Oh, boy, we have a treat. We've got Sam Bennett with us, who's the creator of the Organized Artist Company.
I love that.
You want to just should we just savor that for a minute? The Organized Artist Company. So,
and she's the author of a great book.
She is, and I'm holding it right here in my hand.
Get it done. Show the camera.
I'm putting it up in front of our in-studio. How's that? Can you read that? It's a great book. It's called Get It Done, From Procrastination to Creative Genius in 15 Minutes a Day. And its author is Sam Bennett, who grew up in Chicago and had a very funny career in that we're going to hear a little bit about, as long as it's funny, and now lives in a tiny beach town outside Los Angeles. And had we known that,
we would have.
We're broadcasting from a tiny beach town outside Los Angeles, and she's only a few minutes up the street.
Wow. Well, welcome to the show, Sam.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
We were going to have you earlier, but we put it off.
Yeah, okay, I understand. It's tough to get around to the big thing.
Exactly. Well, we're thrilled that you're here, and we want to get a little input from you.
Well, we want to get it done in 15 minutes.
Exactly.
So help us figure this out. No, that's not true. So what I was talking about earlier, where, and from your book, this is what I gather, this is my takeaway, is that context is sort of everything, right?
Yeah, context is everything, desire is everything, and really keeping your eye, on the bigger picture, because you're right. We all have giant to-do lists, and whether it's something that somebody else is asking us to do or things that we feel like we need to do, just getting through daily life is a big, long checklist of, did I do that? Did I do this? Did I do that? Did I do this? And somehow we get everything done for everybody else, and those projects that really matter the most to us, the ones that are closest to our heart, don't get done.
Right. And what I love about your take is the word organization immediately puts me into a very nervous state. And I love that you've got organized creativity and so forth and so on. But this organizing, again, from my perspective, with your book, is that it's about organizing our thoughts and our attention, as opposed to some kind of external, linear, repressive version of organization. Is that accurate?
That's exactly precisely right. And in fact, I haven't even heard it put that well, but that's exactly right.
Oh, I'm glad you
came. You can use it.
I'm glad you came by today so we can sort that out.
I'll be sure. I'll try to spell your name right in the credits.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing about getting those bigger projects done, that novel that you have sitting in the drawer, or
the one that I have to deliver by 5 o'clock.
That one, exactly.
Yeah.
Or those bigger projects, those bigger dreams. There's no right way to do it. There's no the way. There's no right way to have a radio show. There's no right way to.
Yeah, we're living proof of that.
Right. That's what it says. Or to be a partner, or to be a spouse, to be a parent. There's no right way. There's just your way. So to really get underneath all the shoulds and all the I should be more organized, and I should write at a desk, and I should have an agent, and I should get a master's first, and all the other sort of internal barriers.
I should stop knuckle dragging.
I should stop knuckle dragging. I should,
The shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Exactly. It'll kill you.
Death to getting anything done. But what about to this point of having that novel that I'm supposed to have delivered by 5 o'clock? What about deadlines?
Yeah, the good news is that if there's a deadline, deadlines have beauty and magic to them. I hear from people all the time, I never get anything done to the last minute.
Well, if you wait to the last minute, it only takes a minute.
Well, nobody gets anything done to the last minute.
Well, and the last minute is the performance, but it doesn't mean there's not preparation. I mean, look, we mull over things for this show, for both Barnett and I are writers, for things that we have deadlines. We mull over
at the last minute,
and we wander around for a bit, and then the last minute is just the culmination, and we think that's the whole story.
So,
right?
Sam, if you wait, the last minute of this show is going to be good.
Excellent. No, that's exactly right. To really notice what your process is. That usually, you're right. By the time you sit down to, I've got a presentation Monday. I haven't done a thing about it. Well, that's not really true. You've been spinning on it, and by the time you sit down to actually do the slides, you kind of know what you want to do. And that's one of the reasons why it's important to have a deadline, because otherwise it'll just stay in the rock tumbler of your brain forever. But once you put a date on it, and preferably put some accountability with it, like somebody else is waiting for it, that sort of helps move the idea down the assembly line and out.
So what is the most fun, what's your most fun resistance pattern? Are you like me? Can I meet you sometime at 3:00 in the morning in the freezer section, 3/4 way down?
Barnett loves the ice cream section.
Ben and Jerry's.
Really specific.
Going,
yeah.
Oh my God, I just don't feel like beginning.
I know what I have to do. Barnett always has this. I know what I have to do. I have to go find ice cream.
I gotta find ice cream.
That's the grand distraction.
So I live like 30 minutes from the nearest store. So what is your most colorful and predictable default pattern?
Ways in which I will not do work, manage to not do work.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Do you argue or do you chow down?
I'm kind of a little do bunny, so I am likely actually to sort of kind of get in there and beaver away, but at like things that feel sort of small and safe, and that way I get the double pleasure of feeling like, well, I've been very industrious.
You're a nibbler. You're constantly nibbling away.
She's nibbling.
I'm a nibbler.
She's building dams.
Well, the again, let's go back, because something you said earlier that really needs to be emphasized is this finding our own way.
Mm-hmm.
Barnett and I don't know how many hundreds of people we've talked to on this show over the last almost 4 years, but a few. There is everyone's 7-step formula. And at some point, Barnett and I, though we love all of the people we've ever interviewed, but we do get annoyed sometimes. Like, does it have to be your 7 steps? And what I love about this book is it really emphasizes that there is no one size fits all. Here are some cool and interesting tools. Try them on. If they work for you, great. If they don't, let them go. Because it really is unique. And maybe the biggest triumph is really the story we have in our head that we can't, or we haven't figured out the technique yet.
Exactly. Or we have to be somebody different than we are.
Yes. Tell us more about that, because that is where finding your own way, to me, is the gift of this book.
You mean like thinner, richer, fatter, smarter?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those kinds of oppressions.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's not like I've got some incredible method and everybody should do things my way. But what I
Why are we talking to you then?
Exactly. What I do have, what I can offer you, as slight as it may be, is I have some incredible methods for you to figure out what your incredible method is.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right?
it.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding too that things ebb and flow. What worked for you 5 years ago may not be working for you now, or you kind of need a big toolkit. Those thoughts that will oppress your creativity are clever and vicious,
Mm-hmm.
and you sort of need every tool in the book to overcome them.
And some folks can do it in 12 and a half minutes. Some people will need 20 minutes a day.
Exactly. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I often say, try the 15-minute-a-day strategy, and if you do it for a couple of weeks and just totally hate it and it really doesn't work for you, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now you know what doesn't work for you. And you can say, you know what, Sam, I really need 6 hours on Sunday. That's the way I have to work that way. Great. That's great news. Or I love to work in the middle of the night. I love to work, however it is. I had a tote bag actually made one time that said the Organized Artist Company. No, it's not an oxymoron. Because in fact, everyone is organized. Everyone has a system by which they run their life. It may not be a very efficient system. It may not be a good system, but you have a system. So to sort of uncover what those natural tendencies and energies are, and especially as a creative person, especially as an artist, to understand that stuff that makes you weird, that made you weird as a kid, that you probably got criticized or disapproved of, that all that stuff is what's special and great about you. That's what we need from you the most.
We are going to pause for a second for...
a little longer than a second.
Yeah, I stretch.
If it was only a second,
occasionally
we'd have
stretch
trouble.
the truth, otherwise, because I'm afraid we're going to lose listeners. So
Metaphorical second.
do not change your dial. We're going to be
don't do that.
right back after these messages, because I want to pursue this with you, Sam. I want to talk a little bit about the impact of art.
Great.
So we'll be right back after these words.